Stimulus checks worth $2,000 from President Trump and this administration. If you would like to see these checks coming straight to your mailboxes, then this is something that you need to watch right now.
But we also might make a distribution to the people, almost like a dividend to the people of America.
How much are you thinking for that, sir?
Well, we're thinking maybe $1,000 to $2,000.
$1,000 to $2,000 worth of stimulus or tariff rebate checks to Americans from President Trump. While Donald Trump proposes new stimulus checks worth up to $2,000 for Americans, and this is huge because he's not the only person who's proposing these checks and finally talking about it, as stimulus check update. $2,000 worth of payments are proposed by a congressman, and this time it's a Democrat. Well, things are going towards stimulus checks right now because not just Republicans, not just the president, but even Democrats are talking about giving $2,000 worth of checks to millions of Americans. Look at this. Trump says he's considering giving Americans $2,000 worth of tariff stimulus checks. This is from Fox News, and there are multiple updates about these stimulus checks that I'm going to share with you in this very important video. I'm also going to link all of these articles in the video's description because we want to be as honest, as transparent as possible on Credit Viral Show. But before I begin, all I need is just a little favor. It takes 2 seconds to please hit that like button on this video. So without any further ado, let's begin. Let's start with this massive opportunity that can save you around $1,100 when it comes to your Medicare plan. That's why I partnered with Chapter, where you can get unbiased help from a real person absolutely free. Call the number on the screen, 212-461-4492, and get the help that you deserve absolutely free. Starting with Donald Trump proposes new stimulus check up to $2,000 for Americans. We are in the middle of government shutdown right now, and things are going real bad as a number of states are saying that we simply don't have the funds to send food stamp benefits starting November 1st to millions of Americans. It's quite a shocking situation, and at the same time, President Donald J. Trump talking about these stimulus checks worth $1,000 to $2,000 for Americans. It's a great step and a great news. Look at this. President Donald Trump has said that he's considering offering Americans stimulus checks between $1,000 and $2,000 from tariff revenues. Talking to One America News OAN television network in a one-on-one interview aired on Thursday, Trump was asked what he would do with the revenues generated from the higher tariffs on imported goods to the US. We are going to do something. We are looking at something. Number one, we are paying down the debt because people have allowed to debt to go crazy, he said in that interview. But at the same time, he said that his team was thinking about maybe $1,000 to $2,000 worth of stimulus checks for Americans who are struggling right now. And as I mentioned earlier, that President Trump is not the only person who announces these checks. Well, look at this stimulus check update. $2,000 worth of payments are proposed by a congressman, and this time is a Democrat. Look at this. Representative Ro Khanna, a California Democrat, is proposing $2,000 payments to Americans making under $100,000, arguing that the move would offset some of the President Donald Trump's tariff, which he says have jacked up the prices. Well, Ro Khanna said that recently, and one thing that you need to understand, that now just not the president, not even Republicans, but also Democrats are calling for these $2,000 worth of checks. So it seems like if any bill appears in the Congress, there's high chances that these checks will be approved. Khanna said that Trump's blanket tariffs are hurting American families, adding, "I'm looking how we can provide stimulus checks to working class Americans based on the unfair tax collected on them." Well, this is also very important because Americans are struggling, and not receiving food stamp benefits means their EBT cards will not be refilled on November 1st. It's something that is the nightmare for millions of struggling Americans. Well, according to Fox News, Trump says that he's considering giving Americans $2,000 tariff stimulus checks. As I mentioned earlier, that Trump said this numerous times, not just to OAN network, he also told this to Fox News as well. President Trump said that he is looking at sending stimulus checks worth $1,000 to $2,000. Stimulus checks would be a dividend to the people. He's very careful calling it a stimulus check because according to Trump, he's going to use tariff money to give this stimulus check to Americans. Stimulus would be funded from the revenues generated from tariffs. According to President Trump, he's receiving billions and billions of dollars from these reciprocal tariffs that Trump placed on almost every country in the world, and this is indeed something worth watching. We are going to do something. We are looking at something. Number one, we are paying down the debt because people have allowed the debt to go crazy, said by Trump. We also might make a distribution to the people, almost like a dividend to the people of America. We are thinking maybe $1,000 to $2,000. It will be great. If you remember, just few months ago, Elon Musk and President Trump both announced the possibility of Doge checks. Look at this. Musk floated the idea of sending stimulus checks from Doge savings. People are really happy about it because those checks were not $2,000, not $3,000, but $5,000. And what happened to those checks? Look at this. This isn't the first time the idea of giving stimulus checks to Americans has been discussed. Well, if you remember that Elon Musk and President Trump both talked about these $5,000 worth of Doge stimulus checks to Americans, and what happened? Well, literally nothing. And a number of lawmakers called it a political stunt. And then, of course, Elon Musk resigned from Doge and he got separated. Then President Trump and Elon Musk had a verbal war, and it seems like things are getting back to normal again. The US government has collected billions of dollars in tariff revenue because remember that President Trump is saying that he's going to use this tariff money to fund these stimulus checks. By the numbers, in September, the US government collected $31.3 billion in tariff revenue alone, 73 million below August record. Well, this is indeed something that you need to understand, a great step for the betterment of American economy. But what sort of relief it's going to give to American people? This is the biggest question. And if they take a portion of it and give it to Americans, it's going to be a great step. It will just not improve the quality of life of millions of Americans, but at the same time, it will increase the popularity graph of President Donald J. Trump. Well, businesses often pass tariff costs on to customers. When it comes to tariff revenue, it's important to know how the revenue is generated. Tariffs are import taxes that American businesses pay to the federal government, and that's what a number of Democrats are saying, including Ro Khanna. Well, according to Ro Khanna, look at this, that since taking office earlier this year, Trump has repeatedly announced, imposed, paused, and reinstated a slew of tariffs on varying rates on US. And you need to understand, when importer pays the tariffs, he takes that money from American consumers. So if he's going to take the money from American consumers, means the prices of goods will be higher. Americans will struggle. Even buying groceries and basic necessities is going to be very difficult because they are going to be expensive. And that's where this very important idea of giving stimulus check comes into play, because it will change the financial situation of millions of Americans. Though it will not solve all of the problems that low and middle income Americans are facing right now, but something is better than nothing. It will give them a hope, a breathing room in this time of inflation. Well, earlier this year, Trump floated the idea of rebate for Americans due to so much money coming in from tariff the United States has imposed on other countries. On Thursday, he told One America News that he's thinking about giving $1,000 to $2,000 per person. Yes, it's per person. And you can see that this is Ro Khanna, and he's the Democrat who actually proposed these stimulus checks. Well, so it seems like that President Trump wants to give this money to Americans. Democrats wants to give this money to Americans. A number of Republicans are also leaning towards the idea of giving these checks, but one of the prominent voices that I can say, that is Bernie Moreno. He is not happy with it. Well, he's saying that no, we are not going to give these checks to Americans. If you remember that few months ago, Josh Hawley, a Republican, came up with a proposal known as American Worker Rebate Act, and under this proposal, $600 were proposed to every adult, $600 for every dependent, $1,200 for a couple and $2,400 for a family of 4. Well, that bill is still sitting on the Congress's table, but you need to understand that when a reporter asked Bernie Moreno, what do you think about this bill that your fellow Republican introduced, then Bernie Moreno said that no, we are not going to let this bill pass. It will never pass. We have $37 trillion worth of debt. We are going to pay that debt first. Now, if anyone is there to talk to Bernie Moreno, ask him that you have $37 trillion worth of debt, which will take years to be paid off. But what about American people who are currently struggling? Let's talk about the present first, then we'll talk about the future. But it seems like no one is there to talk to Bernie Moreno. Well, this is the situation right now that millions of Americans are confused. They're scared what's going to happen. But the good news is that President Trump announced the possibility of these checks, and it seems like a number of Republicans, majority of Democrats, as well as President Trump, they all want to give this money to Americans. Well, we'll have to wait for this government to resume, and as soon as we receive more details, we'll give you those updates right here on the Credit Viral Show. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon, because we upload videos for you every single day. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video very soon. Till then, please take care and have a nice day.